Hello friends and potential friends. Let's see, today is Monday, October 10th, 2022. It's been about a week since the storm came through here, and though it has slowed me down a bit, it hasn't brought me to a stop. Here in the lab, I still have a few varieties of tomatoes that I haven't separated out yet, although I think I have separated at least some of each of these varieties. I'll be putting out more of the Praxis cherries, I'm sure. Ponderosas, probably. The Homestead and the Everglades and the Amanas back there. Still have my pears I'm trying to get rooted. The one that was putting on new growth, I put it in the soil, and a while later it started dropping all its leaves. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm leaving it alone for right now. Two of them I left in water, and they're still trying to grow roots. They have those tiny little nodes all over the place, and they haven't dropped their leaves yet. So I think I'm going to keep them in water for a while longer. My Bonsai Rosemary definitely needs a haircut again. And these are the ones that I've separated out, and as you can see, a lot of those are getting ready to be up potted. There are some Praxis cherries, red brandywine, mule team, Everglades, Ponderosa, Boxcar Willie, Amana, those beefsteak seeds I had from 2017, 6 garden peach that are destined for one of my grow towers. Black cherries back there, yellow pears, homesteads, more mule teams, a little bit of everything. And then over here on this side, there's 6 Floridads, and I believe it's 18 of the garden peach. And those will be going out into the main bed soon. A little bit more space, but I'm running out of these 6-inch pots, so I'll be getting those planted out, and then I'll fill those pots up again with some of these that are over in this section. So I'm not just sitting around. I've been trying to keep busy. Let's take a walk outside. And here on the outside, yeah, it still kind of looks like a war zone. I've been cleaning up a little bit here and there. In my my container gardens, I've still got some comfrey down there, some mint, a couple of avocados. There's more comfrey in here that's still being buried by all this moss. The ginger is doing okay. Every time I come out here, I'm picking more moss off of all the plants. And the turmeric down here is looking pretty good. I've got more turmeric growing in this one experimental bed. And as you can see, I haven't gotten the moss out of it yet. There's some comfrey still doing good. And I just noticed this morning, let me zoom in a little bit. If I can spot it, there we are. I'm not the only one that plants things at weird times. Looks like Mother Nature does that too. That's a volunteer potato plant. I'm going to leave it alone, see what it does. But I'm not the only one. Pineapples. Well, there are still some pineapples down here. These are the ones that were recently planted. The tops of the 2 that I harvested, and the plants that I harvested them from. This one here I harvested recently. That was the little tiny pineapple. And then this one here was the larger pineapple that I harvested. And I'm happy to report that it's given me a new pup. So that one's going to continue in the plantation. I need to move it out into the mini orchard one of these days. Once I get the mini orchard back into a little bit better shape to work in. But I haven't just been sitting around. I did build myself my first salad tower for this year. The bottom tier of that is the mint that I've been growing for several years. Well, I've been ignoring it and it's been doing the growing. Looks a lot better over on this side. Above that I put a layer of nasturtiums. And then the rest of this tower is lettuce of various types. And that will be going out onto the front porch at some point. Let's see, I've got a couple of strawberries still hanging on. And they're starting to bloom a little bit. Hopefully they'll start putting out runners soon and I can start filling out this tower. And oh look, there's another sweet potato slip. I don't really need any more sweet potato slips. But they keep growing, so I'll keep trying to do something with them. Plenty of aloe over here still. Again, all buried under the Spanish moss. I'm beginning to develop a strong dislike for Spanish moss. Because when the wind comes through, that stuff gets all over everything. And there's my elderberry still hanging on there. Now inside the main garden beds, I've got the fence hitting fairly good now. And I haven't seen any signs of critters getting into the beds since I got that thing hooked up and running good. These are the sweet potatoes that I grew from slips. I'll be harvesting those probably right around Christmas time. That'll be about 120 days. The pineapples are still doing okay. I had to prop this one up, this big one, because the storm knocked it over. But it seems to be doing fine, and I'm sure it'll recover. This bed contains 24 Roma tomatoes. I decided I wanted a lot of sauce this year, so I planted a bunch of Romas. Got them moved out here last week, and they are doing good. Though I still need to prop up this trellis a little bit better. Rosemary, still covered in moss, though I've been picking it off whenever I can. But they're still doing good. And my first planting of okra is still producing pods. I've got a few in here that I'm saving for seeds, like that one right there. I'm letting that one dry out for seeds whenever it gets ready to do so. And I think there were a couple more in here that I'm going to let go to seed. Now, my dilemma is the sweet potatoes from seed. Strictly speaking, I didn't plant these. They came up on their own, and they have just about covered this bed again. And they're starting to produce flowers again. Which means that soon they're going to start producing seeds again. So I've got to decide what I'm going to do with them. My first thought was to just rip them out and add them to the compost pile. But instead I'm thinking I may set up a couple of pots, some bigger pots, and try to put some of these into pots and move them a little bit out of the way so that I can reuse this bed. Though I'm not sure it'll be what I'm going to put in it yet, but I got plenty of possibilities. So, you know, let me know what you think. It'll be a few days before I do anything with them, so I wouldn't mind having a little bit of input. What do you think I should do? Should I try to continue the sweet potatoes from seed experiment to see if I get any other result? I don't really expect to, but hey, I can always eat those leaves. Now, my second planting of okra has been flowering pretty good the last few days and producing pods all over the place. So I'm going to get another flush of okra here before too long, if I can keep the moss off of it. Yeah, they don't look the best, and the winds did quite a bit to them, but they're still growing, which just proves the point I've been making for a long time. This stuff just wants to grow. Give it half a chance and it will. And I got this one volunteer okra down here at the end that has one nice sized pod on it. And there again, I'm letting that one go to seed. I'll let it hang there and dry out. I have been picking a few others off of it. This bed over here I still have not done anything with. And no, I haven't done anything with the worm bin yet either. But that's still on my list. I'm going to get that set up sooner or later. It's just a matter of priorities. And right now, cleanup still has to be a big priority. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I'm in a lot better shape than a lot of my neighbors. We still have people around town that are flooded out and can't even get to their houses. Meanwhile, I'm pretty much recovered and going on with my gardening. So, no complaints here. This corn, I pulled a couple of ears off of it just to see what's going on. There's some immature corn kernels in there, but and there's still a lot of ears growing. They're all knocked over, of course, but they're still growing. And I need to walk over to that other side and clean off some more moss. There's a couple that I'm not sure if something got into those or what, but the kernels were bared out on them, and even those are still continuing to grow. The purslane bed, well, the purslane's making a comeback, which I knew it would. Still looks pretty ragged, but it is still there. And I'm seriously considering moving at least some of it. See, like that plant right there, I could move that into a pot or somewhere else pretty easily. And continue having purslane in the garden. Well, I'm probably going to continue having purslane in the garden whether I try to or not. Because that stuff wants to grow too. Sweet potatoes are trying to head for that bed also. And then in my bean bed down here, I did a few contenders across this side, which I think I may be pulling out soon to make room for those garden peach tomatoes I've got in the lab. But the pink-eyed purple hulls just keep on producing beans. And I keep picking them as they get ripe and shelling them out. And at the very least, I'll have plenty of beans to plant for next year. I doubt if I'll be eating any this year, but I'll have plenty to plant. So I may leave those to go for a little bit longer. Couple more spare sweet potato slips that I stuck in this bed. And again, those will probably be ready to dig sometime shortly after Christmas. I've been reusing the soil that was in the bed here. That's what I filled up that tower with mostly. And then the patience garden. Again, I have not made the big changes that I have planned because I'm spending my time pulling Spanish moss. But the asparagus is still growing good. I can't complain about the way it looks because it always looks this way. Even before the hurricane, it was always leaning over like that. And there's some China berry trees trying to come up in the middle over there. And every once in a while, I get another asparagus spear. So, Patience Garden is continuing to try to test my patience. And out across the mini orchard, well, I got most of the big stuff done. A couple of trees back in there that are bent over and broken that I still need to cut out. And I got a good sized pile of rubbish back here that I still need to move to the front yard. But overall, things are not too bad back there. I've managed to get a few of the trees standing upright again. I may have lost one or two of them, but that's to be expected. But overall, no, I can't really complain. Things could be a lot worse around here. And just to show how things could be a lot worse, we got piles of rubbish everywhere. All up and down the street. All up and down every street around here. So, all of my neighbors are dealing with it too. And I have to consider myself lucky, because my piles are not quite as tall as a lot of these around here. They're still going to get taller, but they're not as bad as they could be. So anyway, that's a quick update, and I'll see you on the next one.